Hey everyone, this is James LaBrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to ProgRock Digital.
Welcome to ProgRock Digital.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ProgRock Digital. This is episode 6 of season 3. Thank you very much for downloading and streaming. Thank you for visiting progrockdigital.com, and please keep those emails coming through. Now, today I'm chatting with Ray Balderrama. That's right, Ray Alder, singer in Fate's Warning, formerly of Redemption, singer currently in A through Z, and we're chatting about the current and most recent project. It's the Figure of Speechless album, and, interesting conversation. It was recorded a couple of weeks back, just prior to the album release, so, it may seem somewhat delayed, but, enjoy. The man behind some of the most iconic pieces of art connected to some of the biggest names in rock, Ioannis. Originally from Athens, Greece, in the last 36 years has created over 300 record covers for such clients as King Crimson, Fate's Warning, Uriah Heep, Allman Brothers, Blue Oyster Cult, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Yngwie Malmsteen, Deep Purple, Styx, just to name a few. Be sure to connect with Ioannis at www.dangerousage.com. Coming July 30th, the re-release of Amaran's Plight, Voice in the Light, featuring Gary Werkamp, DC Cooper, and Nick DiVigilio. One of the greatest progressive conceptual albums of the 2000s is with us once again. www.amaranspplight.net. Out through Lone Wolf Music. Falsett have released their debut album, We Follow or Lead the Way. Available for download and stream, visit falsett.co.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Zonder with A to Z with the first exclusive Australian interview with ProgRock Digital.
Well, we're back. Ray Balderrama, Ray Alder, as we know you from Fate's Warning, Redemption, A through Z, and now Figure of Speechless. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Ray, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on ProgRock Digital. Now, you're here promoting the Figure of Speechless album, Tunnel at the End of the Light. Now, that is due to be released September the 2nd, out through Unfolded Records. What's the overall feeling like at Figure of Speechless camp, if you like?
Good so far. Everyone's excited. I mean, I know everyone's busy touring Bumblefoot and Derek they're out with Sons of Apollo. Everyone's happy about the work. Everyone's really excited about it. I mean, especially, I don't normally do like side projects really, but Derek contacted me and I listened to it. I said, well, it was funny because I said, well, let me hear some stuff and I'll give you an answer. He ended up sending me a lot of stuff and said, okay, well, this is what it's going to be and this and that. I said, whoa. I didn't say yes yet, man. Like I say, but I heard the first song. Damn it. I think it was Dysutopia. I can't remember now. It was so long. It was over a year ago, I think. And I really dug it. I thought it was really cool. Sort of, I didn't think it was that proggy. I thought it was more, I don't know. It had an edge to it. But Tony Franklin did a great job. And I remember his bass lines were just rad. And knowing that Glenn wrote everything was really, really cool. So I jumped on, and it was a fun project. It was a lot of work, actually. On this album, I think I did more vocals than I normally do on any album. to be honest with you.
Yeah, man. And look, if I recall correctly, the last project, band, or album that you worked on, whereby you were communicating a lot of information to the end user or end listener, was Redemption.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of information coming through here via your vocals, as opposed to, say, Fate's Warning, where it was somewhat,
there's a little more air. Yeah, there's a little more room. So to speak. Yeah.
Now, Ray, you stated that you were approached by Derek Sherinian, whom we know obviously through, Sons of Apollo, Dream Theater, and so forth. How does it feel working with Glenn McMaster, having that Aussie connection, if you like?
It was cool, man. It was actually really cool. When we first started, I think we went for maybe a month or so without even talking, just emails and texts. And, obviously I had questions about changing things. Maybe I would change something here or there. And he was very cool with it. Like, he's, yeah. So basically sometimes he would have a melody and I would think maybe this would work better, but I would always ask him first if he was cool with that. And he was. And I think in the end, the product was way more than satisfactory. I think it's actually really good. I like what he wrote, and obviously, again, I wouldn't have worked on it if I didn't like it. So, yeah, he's a good songwriter. I hope he does another one, honestly.
So, how did Glenn come up with the name Figure of Speechless?
You'd have to ask him, honestly. Because I mean, most of the songs were written by the time I got. As I was working on the songs, he came up with a couple more, so yeah, you would have to ask Glenn. He's the creative mastermind behind everything.
Yes, of course. So, would I be right in saying the album was recorded remotely?
Mm-hmm. It seems the way to go now. I mean, with COVID being what it was, and in that 2.5 year span, so many things changed. Obviously, no one was able to tour. That was horrible because I don't know if most people understand, but being a musician, that is it's actually most of your income is from touring.
Yeah.
So we got lucky. Fates, we had an album. We ended up finishing that album. Normally I'll go to a studio or I'll actually fly to the States and record there at Jim's studio. But I was able to record it here, and which is actually an interesting story. I don't know if you want to hear it or not, but
of course, man. Of course.
The lockdown in Spain was really bad. I don't know how bad it was in Australia, but here it was severe. Like, you couldn't leave the house unless you had to go to the grocery store, and then you had to wait in line, and you're only allowed, one person at a time. You could only leave the house by yourself and to walk the dog and whatever. So you couldn't leave your, as we say, barrio. You couldn't leave your neighborhood. You only had to stay in your neighborhood. So they had police outside, near the freeways. So if you tried to get on the highway, they would stop you and say, "Where are you going? What's your reason?" It was really bad. So in order to record the Fates album, the only way you could move around Spain was you could actually move. You could move your house, which was the weirdest thing. So what I did was I moved to a studio. I had the paperwork drawn up and the lease agreement and everything, and I moved to a studio, and I actually slept in the vocal booth. It was pretty awful. Yeah, that's for 2 weeks. I slept in a vocal booth on a cot, but we got the album done. And, after that, I said, fuck this. I'm going to upgrade my home studio. And that's what I did. So now I record from home. I don't have to move around anymore. And I actually like it. I can kind of take my time, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so to speak. So I probably drive a few engineers pretty crazy, That's fine. I'm like, yeah, but it could be better. Or, I didn't like the little lisp at the end, So here I could do my own thing. And that's how it was with Glenn's thing. I sort of took my time and, I would send everything to him after it was finished. And, he was a producer. So, it was all up to him. If he didn't like something, of course I would change it. And, but that was really cool. So everything was recorded here in my little home studio, and Derek, everyone now has their own home studios. That's how it is now. It's not like the 90s anymore where you go and spend $2,000 a day to be in a studio anymore. It's kind of sad because I really miss those days. I think that creativity part is somewhat lacking. Maybe things could be better if we all got together in the studio again and brainstormed, or so to speak, instead of hearing the after, not the process. So that's changed, but I guess we're gonna have to get used to it, because that's not even the future, that's the now. But we're not Beyonce. We still don't go to studios. We all have our own little thing now. So,
so I take it you're not sleeping in a vocal booth now.
No. I have my own studio, my own room. It's actually really nice. Yeah.
So, man, how about a quick weather report from Spain, from Madrid? I hear it's pretty hot there, man.
I don't think it's as bad as Australia, but for Spain, this year it is fucking brutal, man. Like, it started in June. It never does that. I don't know, global warming, whatever you want to call it, but it's never happened. And it seems like, from everything I've read, that the summers in Europe are beginning earlier and lasting longer. Last like 10 years. But this year, man, I couldn't believe it. I was dying, Here, I mean, I don't know. You guys use Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Celsius, man. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm an American, so we use Fahrenheit. But I'm slowly getting used to the Celsius. But here it was like 41, 42 for like 2 weeks. That's unheard of.
Jeez, man, that's like Arizona, Vegas weather.
Dude, it was unbelievable. But man, yeah. So we got over that. Now it's slowly calming down. But either way, man, I'm from Texas, which is really bad. But I lived most of my life in Los Angeles, so that's what I'm used to. I'm used to 25 top.
Yeah, man. Yeah, blue skies.
Yeah. So anyway, it's all right now. And the funny thing is here recording in my studio, I can't have the air conditioning running. So I'm in here sweating like it's unbelievable, but it gets done anyway.
Well, man, look, in chatting with our mutual friend Mark Zonder, I established obviously earlier in the piece that you, prior to moving to Spain, you were living in Hollywood, just off La Brea, Sycamore, La Brea. And the reason why I have an understanding of that is because I've ridden the rapid, the rapid bus that goes through the city there. So it's really interesting, man, that each and every time that I went into Hollywood, just knowing now that you were living just off La Brea is bloody interesting, man. So so, man, do you miss living in the US and I guess LA, Hollywood?
I do miss it. It was actually La Brea and Wilshire is where I lived.
Aha, okay, man. Yep.
Miracle Mile.
Yeah.
Actually. But the La Brea tar pits. I was like 3 blocks away from that. I lived there for 21 years in the same apartment. I lived there for 21 years. Yeah, I do miss it. I miss, there's a lot of things I've been here now for 6 years, but it's still, getting used to stuff. The siesta was the one thing that drove me crazy. Everything closes at 2:00 for 3 hours. Everything doesn't make any sense to me. And then on holidays, everything's fucking closed. Everything. You can't even get a loaf of bread. it's unbelievable to me. But you know, it's just not the American way, which is more and more and more. You know, everyone has to work. You know, there's no days off, there's no vacations. But the other thing is like the food that you could get in LA. You know, like I like burritos from a food truck. It's impossible. You know, like Tex-Mex kind of food, just different things like that.
Yeah.
And those things do exist, but it's in the center of Madrid. We live like on the outskirts. Yeah, we're you know, there's more space out here. But those kind of things, yeah, I do miss. But I'm used to it now here, I guess. It's home, you know.
So does that make you a soccer fan now? Are you a soccer fan?
I am not.
Oh,
I am not. No. Yeah, sorry. I'm not really a sports fan. I don't think, you know, I don't know. I can speak for myself, but I don't think most musicians are sports fans. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I think we think differently. I was like a basketball fair weather fan for a while, and then they started losing all their good players, and I just didn't care anymore. So, and growing up in Dallas, I was a Dallas Cowboys fan, which I don't care. But it is fascinating to watch how people are so into football here. It's Europe, I guess, or the rest of the world. It's just the United States that doesn't give a shit. You know, it's funny, but you know, and here in our neighborhood, you can hear when there's big games. The entire neighborhood, it's all apartments, like high-rise apartments. And when there's a big game, you can literally hear the entire neighborhood. It's crazy, dude. And it's actually really cool. I think it's really, really cool, except for the explosions. I don't know if they make their own fireworks or something, but and that's kind of weird. But the camaraderie, you know, I don't think they have the hooligans here in Spain like they do. And is that an Australian thing too, or is that just an English thing?
Nah, not really here, man. I mean, it's basically Australian rules football here, man. So soccer or football, as you're saying, is somewhat restricted.
Really? I thought it was. Huh.
But yeah, look, as you said, it's probably far more conducive to the European market.
Yeah, South America.
And South America, the Maracan, yeah. So yeah, from that perspective, massive.
It's a stupid story, but when I was living in LA, there was the big game. I don't know what it was, World Cup. I think it was Germany and Brazil or somebody. I don't know. And the cable guy came. I had DirecTV, satellite TV. So the guy had to come to fix it for some reason. I don't know what the hell it was. And he's in the living room, and I leave, and I come back, and he's sitting on the coffee table watching the television. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I go, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. It's the World Cup." And I go, "Oh, all right, go ahead." So we both sat there and watched the World Cup game for like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And, the cable guy with all his tools and shit. It was funny. It was really funny as hell. And then I think that was when Germany beat the crap out of Brazil or something. It was like 7-1 or something like that. Like it was the biggest upset in the world. Anyway, I got to see it with the cable guy. So that's it. That's my story. So.
Well, Ray, look, you seem to be in demand, or should I say, you seem to be in demand post COVID, maybe even during COVID. But as an outsider, I'm seeing a lot of interest in Ray Alder as a side solo musician, if you like. Would you say your dealings with Engine and the Engine project in the late 90s paved the way for your interest now in doing things outside of Fate's Warning?
I think so. Because it was my first venture outside of Fate's Warning. Besides when I first started with local bands doing covers and whatnot. And I had two other bands before Fate's with original songs. But we never put out an album. But that was cool. And then joining Fates and being with Fates for so long. And then, we would have breaks in between. It got to that stage where, we would do an album every year or two in the beginning, then every 3, then every 4, then 5, so there was I wouldn't say it was a means to an end, but it was something I wanted to do. And I did like heavy music when I was younger. You know, I was totally into like Machine Head and Deftones and Testament, like Nuclear Assault. Like that's what I listened to when I was at home or in my car. And so I wanted to do something a little heavier than what Fates was doing. So that was fun. And then I kind of, you know, well, I did grow up and got older, and my interests in music changed. So yeah, that was my first venture out. And then, you know, and then Fates, we had that whole break for a while, and then I did the Redemption thing. And then I kind of wanted to move on to something else. It wasn't really proggy, you know. And then, you know, we all did the Theories of Flight album, Darkest of a Different Light, Theories of Flight. We did this last one, Long Day, Good Night. And so we've been pretty busy for the last 6 years doing those things. And in the middle of that, I actually don't know really why. I was like, I want to do a solo album. You know, because living in Spain, like, you know, my sole income is music. That's all I do. So I had to do something, and I guess that was the reason why. But it was cool. It was fun to work with Mike and Craig. Craig Anderson is one of my best friends in the world, playing drums, and Tony was my friend here in Spain. So that was cool. It was definitely cool. And again, it's like, I don't really want to do side projects with, you know, like a hired gun kind of thing. I don't frown upon it, but it's not my favorite thing. But, you know, again, with Glenn's, it was really cool. I dug the music. So I really did it. And then that was really cool. So I actually did another thing with a guy from 6 Feet Under, the bass player. I did one song for him, actually. Yeah, and I think that, I don't know when that comes out. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now, because that was like a year ago. But you know, I kind of find it cool to now, I guess, to do different things with different people, because it just, I don't know, it doesn't really open doors, but it's more interesting. It keeps it interesting for me, at least, to see where I can go. And you know, it's something I wouldn't write for myself music wise, but it's still interesting enough for me to want to work on it. So it's sort of a challenge, I guess you would say. So, you know, yeah, maybe there's more down the line. Who knows?
Now, with regards to the album, obviously it's got 11 tracks. Thus far, you've released 2 singles, Day and Night, as well as Inside Room 6. Now, would you say these 2 tracks capture the overall sound of the band, or is it a little more cryptic than that?
No, I think it's a good representation of what the album's like. Again, I don't even know if Glenn really calls it very prog, really, but it just seems like everything my name on is called prog, and you know, like the new A through Z album we just did, they're calling it prog. It's not fucking prog. It's in 4. Almost the entire thing's in 4. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know, anyway. But I like what Glenn did. It's really interesting. So there's something he does play in 4/4, but it's, you know, maybe it's 4/12, 4/8, you know, but it's really cool the way that it comes across. But I think it's a really good representation of the album so far. I mean, there's songs like Tunnel at the End of the Light, and Cast Out, which is another really cool song. Just interesting stuff. I really, really dig it. I'm happy again that I did it. And again, Glenn, if you're listening, do another one, man.
Now, look, your vocal style, your range has changed, and if you like, it really has evolved over time. What would you say your vocal approach on this album has been like?
I think on this album, I sang higher than I normally ever would. I mean, but I'm going to be 55 this Saturday. Is my birthday, actually.
Oh.
So
happy birthday, man. Happy
old as fuck. So yeah, my voice obviously changed in my 30s. My voice began to change, and I ended up going to this doctor in LA, Dr. Joseph Sugarman, actually, a really famous otolaryngologist in LA. And I actually, John Bush actually went to him as well. I referred John to him and other people. But I was like wondering what's happening with my voice, and he was like, well, first of all, you're getting older. No one's voice ever really stays the same, especially if you smoke and you drink and you eat spicy foods. You need to stop all that. And I said, well, I want to just fucking kill myself then, because kind of what I do. And so he says, well, it's just gonna not get worse, but it's not gonna get better. It is what it is. So I started to change my style again at that time. Obviously, I couldn't sing the high notes anymore, which at first I was really, really down about it. To be honest with you, I was like, shit, that's just kind of was my style. But then I got used to my voice, and it sort of, I like where I am now. I really do. I think it's better than it was now. I think I'm a better singer. Just because I scream really high doesn't make me a better singer, But I think I found my real voice, and I think that shows on this album. I think again, there's like 4-part harmonies on there. There's some tracks where there's like 8 tracks of vocals. So I really I don't know. I kind of went above and beyond what I would normally do on this album, and I hopefully it shows to everybody else. But a lot of the melodies were Glenn's, but of course I tried to make them my own. Again, like I said earlier, I would talk to Glenn and say, "What do you think about this?" And he was all for it. It was a pleasure to work with, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think. Hopefully it comes across on this album. Let's see what people think.
So, man, best of luck with the album. Can I ask, and just as a side note, I guess, and in ending our conversation here today, how are things at Fate's Warning? And are you guys on a break, or what's happening now?
I would say that's definitely on a hiatus at the moment. Everyone's kind of taken on other projects. Obviously, Joey Vera's an Armored Saint, and now he's in Merciful Fate. He's with Pearl the Day's band. Joey's in like 5 different bands. I said Joey, right? Yeah, Joey Vera's in like 5 different bands. Bobby is now playing with George Strait, one of the biggest country stars in America, and they're playing like arenas. They do like 30,000 people a night. So I don't think he's really ready to leave that gig to go on tour with us. And we're not going to ask him either. And it's like his dream job. He actually loves country music. It's funny as shit, but he's from San Antonio. He's from Texas, so he loves country music. And Jim's doing side project or doing solo projects. I'm doing solo project. I'm just finishing up. Actually, today I'm going to finish the last song on my solo album. I think I have like 2 lines left to sing, and then I'm moving on to something else. And it's kind of it's a blessing and a curse, because right now I have things that are overlapping. Having to say no to other things to go on to something else. And I've never had that in my life. I've never, I've just been with Fates, and I'm happy just, but I'm busier than I ever have been the last 3 years. I'm busier than I ever have been. And I wouldn't say I like it, but pays the bills. And again, it's nice to be creative. And now I have my home studio, so I don't even have to leave my damn house, which is kind of a drag, but it's cool. I do miss traveling. I'll tell you that. I really miss going on the road and seeing my friends, and I miss the guys in Fates terribly. I really do. But maybe somewhere down the line we'll get back together. We'll see.